Hello everybody. Today we will try something a little bit different. So I've been talking in my recent videos about this energy underneath everything that is creating everything we desire. And really, we don't have to do any kind of system or formula or anything to tap into that. It's already happening for us. We just don't notice it. And if you're looking around your life and you're feeling like you're not seeing what you want or experiencing what you want, it's not that that energy is not working for you. It's just that you have a misperception. And that misperception can create things that you don't want. So today we're going to really be with this energy. We're going to really notice this energy. We're going to see if we can feel it. If you don't feel anything watching this or listening to this, that's totally fine. This is more of an experiment than, a rigorous form or anything like that. So just for right now, just simply be here and start to become aware of this energy underneath everything. It's creating your body. It's creating whatever you're sitting or laying on, or if you're standing, walking, driving a car, whatever. It creates everything. Creates the floor, creates the ceiling, creates the earth, creates the cosmos. This energy that creates everything, and it is everywhere. It's all present. And just be aware of it. And allow your attention to sort of shift and your perception to sort of shift so that you start to notice how this energy is revitalizing and invigorating your body. It may not feel like, drinking an espresso shot right away the second you shift your perception to this energy that invigorates your body. But just see if you notice. You have this energy that is for you, that will animate your body more if you ask it to. See if you notice that there's a possibility for you to have stable, easy energy throughout the day, just by noticing right now that this energy is here working for you, bringing things into shape, working on your body, even deeper than the cellular level. If you have pain anywhere in your body right now, it's sometimes difficult to put your attention on that in a positive way, in a constructive way, in a creative way. We're often, resisting pain or trying to avoid pain or taking painkillers, right? What a funny name, because you don't want to die, so why would you ever take a painkiller? But do whatever you want. I'm not a doctor. I just thought it was funny, so I said it. But it's like we're trying to resist rather than putting our attention on whatever is going on with our body and being present with that energy that can ease it, that can change it, that can restore it. So anywhere you have any kind of sensation in your body that you've been resisting or pushing up against, just notice that that energy is already flowing there and allow it to flow. Open up to it flowing even more. Receive even more that this energy is moving throughout your whole body, throughout the whole environment around you, and it will do whatever you ask it to. As I've said, it's even simpler than that. It's one-to-one with you. But our mind thinks of it as ask and receive and things like that, so we can work with that. But just get the awareness, the perception of this energy moving throughout your body, however that shows up for you. There's no right or wrong to this. It's just whatever experience you have right now. And start to really ask yourself, when it comes to your body, what experience would you really like? Do you want to keep having an experience of your body where it's not your best friend, where you don't treat it well, where you judge it, where you minimize it, where you wish it was better? Or do you want to start to shape, to shift into an easier, healthier, more vibrant relationship with your body that doesn't require you to put in more effort? To enjoy your experience more doesn't require you to put in more effort. It is possible to enjoy your experience more just by choosing that, without working, without practicing, without, coming up with a curriculum. You can simply choose to enjoy your experience more, and it will start happening. And your mind might argue with that because you've had education and patterning your whole life that tells you you need to really work at it and really train and really study in order for things to get more developed. But this appreciation faculty, this enjoyment faculty, has never left you. No matter how miserable and depressed or anxious you might have felt now or recently, the faculty to really enjoy what you're experiencing never leaves you. And I know that because I have been just miserable in my life. I have had some really, 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 really tough stuff in my life. And somehow, I am still able to enjoy things when I choose to. I'm also able to, go down a spiral and feel bad about basically everything, even when there's nothing wrong, right? There's nothing I can point to in my life that's not going correctly, but I can certainly create a story where I seem to suffer. We are doing better off now than humanity ever has in human history in terms of what we have at our disposal, what we have available to us, what the average everyday life of the average person is of a higher quality than it's ever been, right? A person 100 years ago could not read any book they could think of that day. We can do that now. So we have advanced quite rapidly. But along with that expansion has come even more of a sense of unease in the collective unconscious. So start to notice that energy that's underneath everything is there waiting to heal and restore your connection to the collective unconscious. It is there waiting to make you aware of what is from the collective unconsciousness that actually doesn't have that much to do with you, and you don't have to be susceptible to it. You don't have to be reactive to it. You don't have to be plagued by it. Most people right now, no matter how much money they have, allow themselves to be reactive to the collective unconscious around money. And notice that energy, when we start to talk about that, it does not withdraw. It does not hold back. It does not refuse to help you. It is willing to totally shift and change your relationship to money. your relationship to wealth, your relationship to anything, right? But we quite often are paying attention to what everyone else is saying. And we're internalizing that, and we're playing the tape over and over again, when we really can be here, present with what is possible for us. So you start to notice that energy dissolving these sort of connections that you've made, where you have felt like you really need to mirror and copy everybody else's feelings about money, everybody else's feelings about politics, everybody else's feelings about the state of the world. There's nothing wrong with those feelings, and there's nothing wrong with the experience that anybody else is having. But if you look at it, it's probably not the experience you want to have. And it is also not your experience, right? You can take it on and you can make it your experience and you can make it part of your experience. But if you have unlimited, full, total freedom of choice, it's probably not what you really would like to choose. Freaking out about money is probably not what you would really like to choose. So let's address that right now. And just become aware that underneath everything there is this energy that will dissolve your attachment to any of that stuff. You start to become unhooked from it, and you don't believe it anymore. You aren't weighed down by it anymore. You start to see that someone can take that on, and someone can make that real, and someone can have that become their entire existence. There are people on the planet whose entire existence is dictated by not having enough money and not being able to make money. And we don't want to judge those people. We don't want to look down on those people. We don't want to, beat those people up for their misperception. But it's just their experience. It doesn't have to be yours. And if you're a person who wants a lot more money, you have to be willing to let this energy bring in as much money as you want without an attachment to what everyone else is doing, what everyone else is going to make of you having more money, how everyone else is going to treat you if you have more money. Because those are all concerns that we will use consciously or unconsciously not to have more money, right? Money of its own, money really isn't its own thing, right? Money is an extension of humanity. Animals don't use money. The ocean doesn't use money. Space doesn't use money. Money is something human beings have created, so it doesn't have necessarily a life of its own. The energy that goes into it has a life of its own. But we as human beings take this infinitely abundant energy and we turn that into us having a finite amount of energy, and we expend that every day as effort or work or whatever, and that gets us money, is how we think of it, right? But it's easier than that. And as you are present with this energy, you start to notice, like, what you thought were the outside edges of what you can experience are so small in comparison to what's actually out there. I've mentioned on a previous video that I was reading Robert Anton Wilson for a little bit, and I don't necessarily recommend him or not recommend him. I think he has a very, very fascinating way of talking about reality. But he uses this concept of the reality tunnel. And I think it's really interesting. But a lot of us do have tunnel vision when it comes to reality. We go, I make this much money, and here's what reality and my experience can be based on making this much money, and it's not going to go any farther in any direction than this much money would allow me to go. You know, when I was younger, one of my big dreams in life was to go to Japan. But when I was younger, I had no idea how I was ever going to make any money. I thought I was just going to be a shut-in for the rest of my life, living off of my parents, which I was lucky enough to do to some extent. And I thought I was never going to be a functioning member of society, and I was never going to work and make money, and I didn't think I was ever going to have money. So the idea that I would ever leave the country was totally alien to me. And then I went to Japan, and it really felt like I had stepped into an entirely different world. Not in terms of, like, obviously culturally Japan is quite different from the United States, but it felt like I stepped into a different world in terms of I had gone beyond what I thought my life could ever be. And every time I travel someplace outside of where I'm currently living, it feels like I've gone beyond what I think my life can be. Every time. And then you go home and you feel like I'm right back to sort of my default experience or my default reality. So, what if you could open up your experience? What if your experience already is totally open and totally limitless, and you've just been choosing to believe that you are in a tunnel headed in a certain direction, or that you only have a certain number of options based on money, based on your gender, based on what you look like, based on whatever you base it on, your past, your body. People come up with millions of reasons why they can't choose the things they really want to choose. And people will give you a million reasons why you can't choose the things you want to choose. And it's up to you whether you listen to them or not. And when I say listen to them or not, notice that. Because a lot of us go, I'm not going to listen to that person. I'm just going to fight everything they say. That is listening to them. It may not be listening to them well. It may not be listening to them constructively. But it is still putting energy towards what they're saying instead of putting energy towards what you want. So right now, be aware that the energy is here. The energy is infinite, and it will flow in any direction you want. So put the energy towards what you want right now. Very easy. Miraculously, remarkably easy to just put the energy towards what you want. And if you'll let yourself really be aware right now of the ramifications of putting energy towards what you want, you will feel it. It might be very subtle, but you will feel that the moment you start putting energy towards what you want, it starts to take shape. It has, in greater reality, already been fully formed. It already exists the moment you think about it in greater reality, because there's an infinite number of realities for you to experience. That's obviously not very workable for the mind. And the physical body does not experience that really at all. Maybe every once in a while people have these very strange experiences. But for most sane, rational people, they're never going to have a multiple reality experience. And you sound crazy even talking about it. But it is helpful, it is inspiring to know that in the greater reality, in the greater metaphysics, in the greater cosmic arrangement, whatever you want to call it, that everything already exists. There's an infinite number of different things for you to choose from, and they all already exist. And when you put the energy towards what you actually want, that comes into your physical experience. It's somewhat like changing the channel on a television, or, who does that anymore? It's closer to going on Netflix and picking what you want to watch, whatever. But you see, whatever you put energy towards, you have just, even if you have even a 1% feeling that it's coming into existence, follow that. Because it's very easy to follow that it's not coming into existence and that it's never going to come into existence. It's very easy to get depressed, and it's very easy to get off track, and it's very easy to give up. But when you have even a little spark that the magic is actually happening, that what you want is actually possible, you get a little bit excited, even a little bit. That is so restorative for your psyche, for your body, for everything. So beneficial. So let yourself have that right now. Whatever it is, you want more money, put a little bit of energy, not a little bit of effort, not a little bit of work, not a little bit of planning or thinking, or none of that needs to be done right now. Just put a little bit of energy into an experience where you have more money. And you do start to feel it. You don't have to feel it, right? You've received money, you've gotten money when you felt like you were never gonna ever have money. Like, you always, there's always more money, otherwise you really probably by this point would not be here. Now, it might come in much smaller amounts than you'd like, or less frequently than you'd like, or whatever, all those parameters, but that's all honestly up to you. And health is the same way. Everything is the same way. You want more relationships, it's the same thing. You want more friends, it's the same thing. You want more of anything, it's the same thing. Because to an energy that is infinite, to a universe that is infinite, to an existence and experience that is infinite and has infinite potential, more or less don't really exist. It's just, what do you want to experience right now? Right? Like, truly, there's just an infinite flow of money until the human race doesn't exist anymore. As long as we use money, money will just continue flowing, because when they run out, they print more of it. So there's not a hard cap on how much money there is, really. We think there is, but that's totally arbitrary. It's totally based on, it's not arbitrary, but it's based on your conditioning or patterning of what you think is normal for you and what you think is accessible for you. And so when you start to acknowledge to yourself and to this whole experience that you're having, hey, it's actually okay for me to experience more. It's actually okay for me to have more. Notice how if I say it's okay for me to experience more money, that probably feels a little less selfish to you than if I say it's okay for me to have more money. Right? And philosophically speaking, we could go down this whole rabbit hole of like, you never really have anything. You just experience it while you experience it, and then eventually the experience is going to change into something else. So you don't ever really have anything, if you want to be very philosophical about it. But look at whether it's okay for you to experience just an insane amount of money, and for you to have just an insane amount of money. And look at people in your experience who have a lot of money, and see how often you or anyone around you criticizes them, judges them, is bitter at them, is jealous of them, is mad at them. You know, we all, when we are being a little bit less aware, are very critical of how other people use their money. So why don't you just create more than them? Why don't you just open yourself up to an experience where that's not relevant to you? That doesn't matter to you. You're not worried about who might have more money or more power or more whatever, because you are in charge of your own experience. You are the one creating exactly what you want to experience in the world. And you know that that is possible. Most of these people who are looking at any third party and pointing the finger and going, it's your fault, the world is terrible, really don't feel empowered to create the experience they really want to have. And they probably feel so disempowered to create that experience that they don't even really know exactly what experience they'd really like to have. Because if you can't create it, why bother knowing what it would be? That would just be a source of heartache, right? So all of us have not fully used our imagination to see what experience we'd really like to create. Because basically none of us were told from a very young age, you are with and of an infinite supply of everything, and it will help you create anything you want to create. You don't even really need its help because you are it, right? Again, not the easiest thing to language for the brain, but your spirit knows, and knows it easily, knows it completely, doesn't need to intellectualize it, doesn't need to think about it, doesn't need the blueprint, doesn't need the steps. You just go. You just are. It's a being thing almost. So again, be here and just be aware of the energy in everything. Moving, changing, rearranging, creating, building. And what is it you would really love to experience? What is it you would really love to experience? And be aware of the energy flowing into that. As soon as you even consider it, energy starts flowing into it. It starts taking shape, starts taking form. Are you going to stay the course enough for it to come to fruition in your experience? Are you going to daydream about it? Nothing wrong with daydreaming. I do it all the time. It's wonderful. But a lot of us go, well, that was a nice daydream, and then it's done. It's not. We don't think, oh, I'm thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm thinking about what's going to happen later today. I'm thinking about what's about to happen right now. We're thinking, oh yeah, I'm having this fantasy, right? Are you putting energy into what you really want to occur? Are you, every day you're with this body. You're having an experience where it feels like you are inside this body. And your perception runs through this body. Your perception actually extends far beyond this body in an infinite number of ways that we often don't even have language for. But our primary perception, for most of us, is of this body and filtering information through this body as sensations, as feelings, as thoughts. When you're doing that, are you putting the energy into enjoying that? Or are you putting the energy into, this is really scary. I got to do this survival thing. I got to make sure I survive. I'm really treating myself poorly. I need to lose weight. I need to eat better. I'm afraid all the time of everything. And I'm not, I would be the last person to really criticize anybody who is living in fear, because I have experienced levels of anxiety that are just impossible to truly describe. I could sit here and talk about it for hours in excruciating detail, but it would never paint the picture of the physical sensation. It just wouldn't. And I think anyone who's had a lot of anxiety probably feels that way, where no matter what you say to other people about what you're physically experiencing while it's happening, it's horrifying and it will never come close to what the physical sensation is actually like. And again, like, are you putting energy into that? Or are you saying, you know what? If I'm just running around like my head is on fire all day, every day, I'm going to try and put 1% more energy every day into enjoying my life, my body, my experience, my existence. Sounds impossible, right? But just try it. You certainly don't have anything to lose. Enjoying your life a little more each day. What have you really got to lose in that? Absolutely nothing. That could only be beneficial for you. But look and see. That's what's so strange. Look and see if a part of you believes that enjoying your life more would lead to disaster. See if that resonates with you at all. That if you enjoyed your life more, it would lead to disaster. It shows you what your parents, how your parents related to their experience, how your parents processed their experience. Because I think our parents, more than anybody, are the people who teach us how to be present with fear and how fearful we need to be, right? If you are just insane about money, check to see if either of your parents was just insane about money. Probably both. Most people on the planet are just insane about money, so the odds are incredibly high that both of your parents were bananas about money. They may not admit it, they may not think that, but at least 99% of people on the planet don't have the money experience that's possible for them So start to set that down. Revoke ownership of that. Don't act like that's you anymore, because it's not you. It never was you. Even if you woke up every day dedicating your whole being to pretending that you were broke, that you were never going to have money, that you were never going to figure it out, that it was just going to be impossible. Even if you spent every day of your life up until now rehearsing that you're a broke loser, revoke your ownership of that. Take your name off the deed. Take your name off the title. You don't need that anymore. And see if you really just did what I just said as an intellectual exercise. See if you don't feel like there's going to be more money in your future. Even if you have no idea how or why, if you just say, hey, I no longer identify as someone who cannot have however much money I want. I no longer identify as someone who struggles with money. See if just saying that in your head, you don't even have to say it out loud. You probably should, but you don't have to. I'm not going to make you. You can be as lazy as you want. That is the worldview I am interested in, is that the laziest person among us gets to prosper. Because I'd like that to be me. But if it's not me, I don't want to measure people's worth by output, right? What's the point? Because people can be lazy for a really long time. And then when they get bored of being lazy, they can do something miraculous. They can create something miraculous. People can be depressed, anxious, whatever. I don't need to go into a whole thing about it. But it's like, however much work you want to put into this is not relevant. Notice that when you made the choice, the declaration, I no longer identify with a lack of money. Even if I'm currently experiencing less money than I'd like, I'm not taking that on as me. I'm not believing that that's going to be my experience for the rest of my life. I'm not going to believe that that's the sum total of what I can choose, is that I don't have as much money as I would like. I'm not going to take that to mean anything about me. And if I can go there ever again, right? If you can really right now go to, I'm never going to take less money than I'd like, as me, as my personality, as who I am, as emblematic of me, as saying something about me, as the noose around my neck, as the scarlet letter. Oh my God, I'm broke. I don't want anybody to know I'm broke. And I'm walking around town with a big B on my chest so everybody knows I'm broke. If you lay that down right now, see if it doesn't feel like your experience is suddenly open to more money. See if you don't suddenly notice a bunch of channels just open up and energy moving in all these different directions out towards where money can be in your experience and materializing it. You can call it the law of attraction if you want. You can think of this however you want to think about it. How you think about it is not that important. What is important is that you don't shut down shop, that you don't cut off your awareness before it arrives where you want to be. You're already there, right? You'll notice it when you stop identifying as someone who has a lack in any way. You feel like you're there. When you identify as broke, as sick, as wrong or distorted in any way, you feel like you're there. And when you don't identify as that, you don't feel like you're there. You feel like you're where you want to be. It's that simple. But letting go of those self-identifications, for some of us, is quite difficult. Because we've had people reinforcing those our entire lives, and we have chosen to reinforce those our entire lives. We can't pass the buck on to anybody else. We've got to acknowledge, I have really shaped myself into quite the character. So, again, one last time, just be with this energy. It's flowing as much as it always has been, but you're noticing it, I hope, a lot more now than when we started. You're sensing it in some way, whether it's feeling, whether it's thinking, whatever it is, you're sensing that there's this energy underneath everything that is just ready for you to experience whatever you want to experience. And you notice it more now. You could say you're more in tune with it now. And what do you really want to experience? Notice how enthusiastic this energy is to facilitate you experiencing whatever you want to experience, because it is you. When you're excited about what you want to experience, so is this energy. You don't have to do this thing of like, oh my God, if I ever feel bad, I'm totally off track. You're not. We do not have to shame ourselves or judge ourselves or fight ourselves when we're feeling something, quote unquote, bad or wrong or negative. We don't have to do all that. It's easier to course correct than that. You're allowed to feel however you feel about whatever you feel. But there's more available. There's more on the way. There's more in store. Your experience is more vast than you have been sensate to. Allow yourself right now to be sensate to as much of your experience as possible. It's not going to overwhelm you as much as you think it is. Just allow yourself to pick up something in your experience that you haven't picked up before, or you haven't picked up in a long time. Give yourself free range to explore your experience more. What is this? It changes. Just that. Do you see that? It just changes. And now, one last time before we close out, check in with what you want to experience and just put the energy into it. Sense it taking shape in your experience. You don't know when, you don't know the timeline, you don't know the framework, you don't know the delivery date, right? It's not Amazon. We're not going to promise you that it's going to be there tomorrow and then it's going to be there on Monday. Don't worry about that. What do I want to experience? And stay the course, knowing that the energy is bringing it into shape all the time, unceasingly, and it doesn't judge you. This energy does not judge you. If it did, you'd be dead. Seriously. Take that as permission not to judge yourself, because if the fundamental fabric of the universe judged you as unworthy, you wouldn't be here. You never would have been here, ever. And it has never sent the lightning bolt to strike you down because you're unworthy. It just keeps forming and changing and rearranging into every next thing you experience. What do I really want to experience? And the energy is going into it. The energy is creating it. I don't know when. I don't know how. Why? Because I want it to. That's really all you need to know. Why? Because I want it to. Not because I deserve it. Not because I did all the things I was supposed to do to have it. Simpler. Easier. what do I really want to experience? And I let myself see that everything around me, the fabric of existence, is rearranging itself for me into what I want, as long as I do not give up. With that, guys, thank you so much, as always, for watching, especially if this is a pretty long one, so if you got to the end, you're a trooper. So grateful for every single one of you who watches this, who comments. Again, if you can like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, really, really, really helps me out. And can't stress it enough, if there's anything you want, anything you need help with, anything you want to express, whatever, you can always reach me in the comments. I'm happy to address anything you would like help with, no matter how silly you think it is. I want to help as many people as I can, so put it out there into the world. What do you want to create? What are you struggling with? What do you need clarity on? Let's help each other, right? Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you again soon.